All right, so you sent this in, and this looks really interesting. A resume and a book excerpt. Looks like we're diving into Oscar Manduku-Habeenzu, and he calls himself a borderless entrepreneur. So what can we learn about this guy and this whole borderless concept?
Well, we've got his professional journey laid out here in the resume,
Hmm.
and we also have his thoughts on entrepreneurship from his book, The Borderless Entrepreneur, Growing Beyond Local Markets in a Digital Age of Africa.
Okay, cool. So first impression, meet Oscar, right? Just looking at this resume, data analyst, business intelligence pro, certified in every Google and Amazon course you can think of. Oh, and top 10% Google local guide.
Yeah,
This guy gets around.
it's a great striking.
Yeah.
Most resumes you see are very much like specialists. This is what I do.
Yeah.
But Oscar's is more like he's a digital Swiss Army knife,
Mm,
you know? And this breadth of skills, I think it really speaks to that idea that he's not afraid to adapt and learn new things, which aligns perfectly with the borderless idea. He's not boxing himself in.
yeah, yeah. Okay, let's trace his career path a little bit. Because I have a feeling this is where things get interesting. Early on, we see more traditional roles. Web development manager, very South Africa-centric, location-specific. But then things start to shift.
You see a definite pattern. As he gains experience, his roles become more remote and internationally focused. So you've got him managing websites in South Africa, and then suddenly he's leading content for 8 online magazines across the continent, all remotely. That jump to group content manager for kabanggroup.com, that feels like a turning point.
Okay, so he's gone from hands-on web work to overseeing content strategy for a whole media group. That takes leadership. That takes organizational skills, not to mention managing remote teams across who knows how many time zones. Right?
Well, what's the takeaway for our listener here?
This highlights that going borderless isn't just about that location independence. It's about expanding your skill set beyond your initial specialization, being comfortable leading and managing from afar, understanding how to navigate different cultural context. And that one job really encapsulates all of that. Okay, I like it. And it seems like it worked out well for him.
Right. By 2021, he's managing digital marketing for 5 different brands, financial services, loans,
Yeah.
pharmaceuticals. This guy thrives on variety.
And notice, by this point, he's almost entirely remote. So by the time he lands at that e-commerce marketing manager position at Maricate.com in 2024, working across Southern Africa and the U.S. borderless is practically his DNA at this point.
It's less of a philosophy and more of his lived experience,
Yeah.
right? This career path really embodies what he calls borderless entrepreneurship. So let's dive into that. What does it actually mean?
Well, from his book, it's about utilizing digital tools to tap into global markets, not being limited by your physical location, adopting a global mindset in how you approach business.
Okay, so it's a way of thinking, not just where you happen to be sitting with your laptop.
Mm.
Exactly. And it's not just a trendy buzzword. This is a response to how business is done now, especially in fields that are really driven by technology. The pandemic accelerated this trend, but it was already happening. Technology has demolished these geographical barriers,
Yeah.
and savvy entrepreneurs are capitalizing on this shift.
So you want to become this borderless entrepreneur. It's not as simple as buying a plane ticket and setting up shop on a beach.
Right.
Oscar outlines 5 essentials that are pretty demanding. You need resilience. Things will go wrong. You need solid digital infrastructure, not just Wi-Fi. We're talking system security, the whole 9 yards.
That's such a good point. A lot of people, when they hear digital infrastructure, they just think good internet access. But it's so much more than that. It's about having those reliable systems for communication, project management, data storage, cybersecurity, especially when you're dealing with clients across borders and maybe dealing with sensitive information.
Absolutely. Then there's understanding different markets. Huge. You need that agility to adapt quickly. Things change fast in the global marketplace. And finally, your branding has to be globally consistent, yet locally relevant. It's a tall order.
Yes. And for me, what stands out is that first essential resilience. Because let's be real, not every venture is going to be successful, especially when you're navigating these different regulations, cultures, and economies. You need that mental fortitude to be able to handle setbacks, adapt quickly.
He even mentions the importance of understanding local customs. Like in South Africa, greeting everyone when you enter a public transport vehicle, or in Kenya, how important it is to engage in a little small talk before jumping into business discussions.
Exactly. It's not just about doing business in these places. It's about immersing yourself in the culture, building those genuine relationships, understanding the nuances of each region. And remember when we talked about him moving from country to country, he's not just sightseeing.
He's living it. He's gathering that firsthand knowledge. Okay, so let's say you've got the resilience, the digital infrastructure, you've got that global mindset. Where do you even begin?
This is where Oscar's thinking gets really, really interesting, especially when it comes to funding his ventures. He has some strong opinions about that traditional startup route of chasing venture capital.
Yeah, he pretty much throws that model out the window. His approach is build a proof of concept, first fund it through customers' master working capital, and think long term. He even says prioritize revenue over investment. It's a bit radical, isn't it?
Definitely unconventional.
Right.
In the startup world, it's all about securing those funding rounds and scaling rapidly. But Oscar's approach forces you to focus on creating real value from day one.
Prove your idea works, get customers paying for it, then worry about scaling. Different way of thinking.
And it could be a healthy dose of reality for a lot of startups. If your idea can't generate revenue early on, maybe it's not solving a real problem.
He's all about that bootstrapping, at least initially. Building something sustainable, not just chasing the next round of funding.
He really emphasizes that mastery of working capital, understanding your cash flow, managing those expenses, really getting your hands dirty with the financial side of the business. Might not be glamorous, but it's essential for long-term success.
It's about financial discipline, thinking like a business owner, not just a founder with a cool idea. All right, let's shift gears a bit and talk about branding. Oscar says your branding needs to be both globally consistent and locally relevant. How do you even achieve that?
It's a tricky balance. Your core brand values and messaging those should be consistent across all markets. But you also need to adapt to those local nuances and cultural sensitivity.
So your logo and tagline might stay the same, but your marketing campaigns might need to be tweaked to resonate with specific audiences.
He actually gives this great example of a company that expanded into a new market and failed to adapt their marketing materials. They used humor that didn't translate well culturally, and their campaign totally fell flat. Costly mistake.
Highlights the importance of cultural intelligence. Right. Do your homework. This book really does feel like a crash course in navigating the complexities of the global marketplace, digital infrastructure market understanding. We talked about agility, but let's actually talk about agility. What does that really mean in the context of being this borderless entrepreneur?
Agility is all about adapting quickly to change, which is essential in today's fast-paced, globalized world. Things can shift rapidly, new technologies emerge, regulations change, consumer preferences evolve. You need to be able to pivot and adjust your strategy accordingly.
He really emphasizes the need to embrace lifelong learning and constantly be upgrading your skills. It's not enough to just learn one thing and stick with it.
The world's changing too fast for that. He actually uses this analogy of Fujifilm. They were this film photography giant. When digital cameras came along, they didn't just try to cling to their old business model.
They reinvented themselves, didn't they? Didn't they branch out into all sorts of new industries?
They leveraged their expertise in chemical compounds to diversify into healthcare, cosmetics, even industrial materials. They became a completely different company while still building on those core strengths.
That's an inspiring example of how to thrive in the face of disruption. This book's full of these little nuggets of wisdom. Practical advice gleaned from his own experience and observations.
It really is like having a mentor in your pocket, guiding you through the challenges and opportunities of building a borderless business. But it's not just about following a blueprint. He encourages entrepreneurs to think critically, challenge those assumptions, and find their own path to success.
It's about taking the principles he outlines and applying them to your own unique situation and aspirations. And that brings us back to you. We've explored Oscar's journey, dissected the key elements of his borderless approach, and even delved into specific AI applications that could be relevant to your field. So what resonates with you the most? What's sparking your curiosity?
Is there a particular concept that stands out? Or maybe a challenge you're facing that Oscar's insights could help you address?
Yeah, we've thrown a lot of information your way. But the real deep dive begins now in your head. As you process this and think about how it applies to your goals, what are some small steps you could take towards a more borderless approach in your field? Could you offer your services remotely to clients in other countries?
Maybe you could leverage AI tools to streamline your workflow or reach a wider audience. Even connecting with other professionals in your field on LinkedIn who are already operating borderlessly. Those are all great starting points.
It's about taking action, experimenting. You don't have to overhaul your entire business model overnight. Start small. Test the waters. See what works for you.
And remember, you don't have to go it alone. Oscar's resume practically screams collaboration. He clearly understands the power of teamwork and leveraging different skill sets.
That's true. He's got expertise in so many different areas: digital marketing, data analytics, web development, e-commerce. It's like he's a one-man agency. Which brings me to a final thought. Something to ponder as you move forward. What if instead of trying to become Oscar, you could actually work with him?
Now, that's an intriguing idea.
Imagine tapping into his global network, his diverse skills, his experience navigating the complexities of borderless entrepreneurship.
Mm.
It's something to consider. Sometimes the fastest way to go global is to team up with someone who's already there. So as you think about your next move, ask yourself this. Could collaborating with someone like Oscar be the catalyst you need?
It's a thought-provoking question, isn't it?
It is. We've covered a lot of ground today. Hopefully this deep dive has given you some new perspectives and practical insights to apply to your own journey. Remember, the world is full of possibilities, and with the right mindset and a little bit of courage, you can achieve anything you set your mind to. Until next time, keep experimenting, keep questioning, and keep pushing those boundaries. We'll be here to help you navigate the journey.
It really is. It makes you think. One thing that stood out to me from the book was how Oscar talks about those agile African countries.
Yeah, he highlights places like South Africa, Nigeria, Kenya, but he's writing from an entrepreneur's point of view.
Right. Exactly. He's looking at the business opportunities, the agility of those markets.
Yeah.
But he's not claiming that these countries are some sort of utopia.
Right. It's not a political or social commentary.
No, not at all. It's just an analysis of those regions from a business perspective. And for someone who's interested in going borderless, those are insights worth considering.
Okay, yeah, that's an important distinction to make. We're not endorsing any particular political or economic systems here.
We're just trying to understand Oscar's perspective and extract valuable insights for our listener.
Okay, so back to the AI application that you were about to explain.
Oh, right. So, specific AI application relevant to the listener's field. Well, this is being used to explain how the AI application is used in the listener's field. And it's already proving to be a game changer for a lot of professionals in your field.
Wow, it's like having a global team working for you 24/7.
Exactly. Imagine using this AI to analyze market trends in different countries, or to personalize your services for clients who speak different languages. It could significantly expand your reach.
I can see how that would be incredibly powerful. So we've talked about a lot of different aspects of Oscar's approach, but I think it all boils down to this. Is this borderless entrepreneurship something that's actually achievable for the average person?
I believe it is.
Yeah.
It's not about having some special talent or being born into the right circumstances. It's about having the right mindset, the willingness to learn and adapt, and most importantly, the courage to take action.
Oscar's journey is a testament to that. He started out with a pretty traditional career path, but he embraced change. He sought out opportunities, and he built a global business from the ground up.
And he's not stopping there.
Mm.
He's constantly pushing the boundaries, experimenting with new technologies, exploring new markets.
He's living proof that borderless is not just a concept, it's a way of life. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with this one final thought. What if borderless is not just about where you work, but how you work? What if it's about breaking free from the limitations of the traditional 9 to 5, about creating a life where you can work from anywhere, do what you love, and make a real impact on the world? Yeah. That's the true essence of Oscar's message, and it's a message that I think resonates with all of us who are looking for something more. So keep exploring, keep learning, and keep pushing those boundaries. The future is borderless, and it's waiting for you to shape it.